I'm also Wendy, so I got roped into moderating this discussion, which is great. I feel like I'm a mile away, going to come over here. Wow, it's much bigger this year. So Marcus, and such an interesting journey you guys have been on. We just had a long discussion about cookies and advertisers and identity. I guess you have a bit of an advantage living in Singapore with a more controlled and digitally connected population. Can you talk to us how and why you've invested in this journey?
Okay, we started this whole journey because we wanted to be, it's a vision that we have 4 years ago, and now we are into the 5th year, to be the Singapore #1 digital insurer. And that's where we started to look at all stuff digital, and we realized that we are so far behind, and we are just starting to implement platforms. And then that's where we realized that, we have a lot of data. And in insurance, as you know, in Singapore, we have almost 1.8 million customers, and we have the benefit of having a lot of first-party data. But a lot of them are unstructured. It's been collected over the last maybe 50 years. So from the toilet roll type of time to really digital data entry. But I think, and today with digital, everything is real time. So we have a lot of data, it's unstructured. And then that's where later on we hired a happy marketer to do some housekeeping. But essentially, it is, for us, it's key that we have a lot of first-party data, and that's where we look at the importance of data that kickstarted our whole transformation.
I think, yes, in addition to what just Marcus mentioned, traditionally, FSIs have a lot of first-party data. The difficult bit is how to use it effectively. And I think that is the role that we wanted to play in this entire giant scheme of things. And I think we did a fairly good job the last 2 years, and we have the results now to say for themselves.
So Annie talked about in the video, Annie talked about the entire customer lifecycle from acquisition to retention. And I think what hasn't been talked about today is all the tools you can use beyond advertising to engage with a customer, like 1.8 million customers out of a 4 or 5 million population. How much do you invest in that, connecting the customer journey across beyond just acquisition and between unknown customer acquisition to engaging with existing customers to upsell or extend the life cycle of that customer?
Okay, we do a lot. Actually, we invest a lot in this. We have a lot of first-party data, and then we have our own GA360 data. So we also have a data strategy as well. So we have our own data lake. We have EDW as well. So we basically import all the data we have from GA360 and then marry it with our first-party data. So what we actually kickstarted a project to hash all our first-party data to match it with the Google GA360 data. And then with that, that's not enough. Okay, for us, we even have a content strategy, because it's not enough to just advertise, but we serve out content that is relevant to our audiences, and then we get signals. I think, for example, we have almost 200 over pieces of blog articles, where when we serve you an article about parenting, and if you clicked on that, means we know that you are likely to have a kid. So then that allows us to carry on the journey to serve you more relevant and personalized information and content, and not just focusing on acquisition alone.
And how much of a role did Happy Marketer play in helping set up a strategy like that and optimize that strategy?
I think from a Happy Marketer perspective, our role was more end-to-end. But the good thing is that the moment we came in, I think that was about 2.5 years back, a significant backbone already existed, like the content articles that Marcus was talking about. So all we had to do was categorize them quickly and identify parenting versus, this person is thinking about retirement. And so that was step number 1. Connecting the unknown and the known, that was, yes, very important, because let's say hypothetically the website has a conversion rate of 2%. So 2% of your website visitors, 2 or 3%, and you got to retain them. The remaining 97, 98%, you got to capture the signals, identify who they are, and that is where the opportunity lies in terms of acquisition. So we took a step back, and then we created our strategies for those 2% users who were converting and the 98% who were not converting, which is where a significant bit of personalization, and not just on the website, but also personalization on the ad tech side of things.
So Marcus, they talked a bit about in-housing as well in the first panel. How do you view in-housing and your relationship with Happy Marketer? Is it something that you want to transition that skill set and knowledge eventually to your own team, or do you see yourself always working with partners to deliver this outcome?
Okay, there's two parts to this. I think one is data. I think data in-housing is, for us, is a definite, but for media buy, to me, is an absolute no. Okay, because I think we will continue with our partners. I think one thing is key in terms of talent. I think it's very difficult to compete with talent in this space. Imagine I have my team, my media buying team in-house, and half of them resign. So where am I going to get the talent? Does it mean that my media buy stops? So to me, in-housing of media buy is an absolute no, and that requires that's also very costly in terms of bringing them in-house.
So when you talk about data in-housing, you're talking about that data lake that you've built, where you're really investing in having every data signal, whether it's from advertising or any of the touch points with your customer, connected together, even for offline, like those agent interactions you were talking about?
When I mean data is all the EDW. I think there's multiple type of people, from the data scientists. For us, we have translator in the team, analytics, the agents' data, everything. I think those should be in-house because we understand our business the best.
Yeah. And I think the industry also, as part of this industry, we also need to expand our knowledge in terms of what really is first-party data. So the CRM data, the transaction data, yes, it is first-party. The brand needs to own it. Data feeding in from digital systems, like Deirdre was talking about, Campaign Manager, we talked about Google Analytics 360, DV360. All these platforms allow you to export all the data into the data warehouse that Marcus is talking about. And it's great because all this is first-party digital data. So it's anonymous, yes, but then it's first-party. The brand owns it. And once you have it all together at one place, that's where the opportunities are in terms of identifying what's working and what's not working for you.
So the conversation about cookies and mobile IDs, how much time do you and your data team spend on trying to resolve who an anonymous person is to your existing customer base, and then what kind of messaging you should be delivering to them?
I think for us, we rather focus more on the customer journey, because I think in the past we run campaigns, but right now we build customer journey. I think most of our time is spent on building the whole customer journey, because that is already challenging enough than to figure out the cookies issue. Because when you marry your first-party data, you hash it, and with the unknown audiences, the GA360 data, I think that's sufficient for us to build that entire customer segment journey.
And as we plan for the future, I think it's as simple as identifying that yes, there is respecting the NDA that we have with income. An income ID, then there would be a CRM ID, then there would be an ad tech ID, then a Google ID, a Facebook ID. I think step number one is identify what these IDs are. Step number two is a giant mapping table. And I think that's a very good first step in order to link everything together as a known customer and an unknown customer, and as an unknown customer becomes a known customer. And that's when the customer journey that we are seeking to have, it all starts making sense then.
And who is looking at those different ideas and building that map? Is that what Happy Marketer does for income, or how do you actually make that happen? Because that's a lot of work.
Yes. So income owns the data, they own the ID, and we are aiming to manage it for income so that the identity resolution actually comes to life.
Yeah, that's a great partnership. So we don't have much time left, but is it a challenge being a financial services business? There's a lot of regulation around data in the financial services industry, and a long sell cycle as well, or research cycle, as people go through different life stages. So as you profile an individual, how comfortable are they with what you're doing with their data and how you're interacting with them? And is it more challenging for you as a financial services provider?
I think with regulation, I don't think it's a challenge, but it kind of motivates us to understand our consumers, our customers better. Because the whole thing about privacy is that when you serve something irrelevant to the audience, they will be unhappy. And for us, it's really important that we don't get a complaint. So I think for us, it's really about, I mean, in terms of insurance, it's really information, it's not really hard selling. So that's where we need to serve content and all these things. So to us, it's not really an issue. You need to work very closely with your compliance, with your legal team, and make sure that you protect the data that we have, especially the first-party data, and so that we don't violate any regulation.
And I think as an agency, it forces us to be innovative and give clarity not just to our partners, our clients, but also seek clarity ourselves. And I think this just works well for us.
Awesome. I think we're about to run out of time. Just are the compliance and legal people, how are they comfortable with you interacting with Google and Facebook and connecting data between different providers in the ecosystem from out of your data lake? Is that a challenge?
I think the core thing about this whole digitalization and this whole MarTech stuff is training. I think you need to train the people beyond marketing. So for example, we engage a happy marketer to train our IT guys, our compliance guys, our legal guys, so they understand what you're talking about. If they don't understand, they will not agree to it. But once they understand the whole structure of things, how data is being protected, they will be comfortable to give you the go-ahead because they want to enable business at the end of the day.
That's a great takeout. Okay, we've run out of time. Have we? Sorry, they've reset the clock.
Clock in front of us.
Wrap up? Okay, we've run out of time. Sorry, it was on 0, now it's on a minute. Thank you so much, Marcus. I think that was a great takeaway. I think collaborating with partners, connecting your data and owning the data in-house is the really important step to driving transformation. So thanks for some great insights. Have a good ATS.
Thank you.